Hey everyone, welcome to one out of a series of videos where I will be teaching Blender to some extent from what I know about Blender. This video I'm going to be teaching you how to create a cloud using the Mesh to Volume modifier that has been added into Blender 2.91. So let's get started. We're going to start off by creating a general cloud shape. So we're going to get a cube and go into modifiers and then just add a subdivision surface modifier. And we're just going to, I guess, scale this up a bit. We're just going to extrude this outwards, scale it down. Doesn't have to be perfect. This video is kind of intended to just showcase what the Mesh to Volume modifier can actually do. This isn't meant to be like anything too fancy, like how to make a proper cloud. I may create a video relating to that further down the line. For now, this is just to demonstrate what the modifier can actually do. Clouds generally have a shape similar to this. You can also extrude this out, add a bit of depth, do the same on this side. We'll go over here because clouds aren't perfectly geometrical, so we'll just bring those outwards like that. And get those, bring them out as well, like so. And we've got a cloud shape. We're just going to increase the viewport to about 3. Depending on the quality, it's entirely subjective, completely up to you in regards to the quality of your cloud. So we're just going to scale this down as well. We don't want it to be perfectly circular. We want a bit of inconsistency, which we're going to introduce now. So from here, we want a somewhat convincing cloud. So we're going to go into the modifiers, and we're going to add a displacement modifier, or displace. So with this, you can adjust the mid-level, which will expand and contract the cloud or the mesh. So we're going to go into textures now, and as you can see, you want displace selected, since this is the modifier that we're going to be creating the texture for. We're going to do new, and as you can see, it's going to contract a bit. It's using this texture here, which we're going to call bubbles, as clouds have bubbles, or little bubbly bits coming out of it. I'm going to call it bubbles. The reason why it's like this is because it's displacing a black just nothingness. So we're going to change the image or movie to I think it was this one, Stussy. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's going to displace the actual mesh. You can also increase the levels viewport to however many you would like. Again, if it looks a bit too angular. So we're going to adjust the size so it's a little less aggressive. So something more like this, as you can see, like so. Maybe, yeah. So once you've got that, it's completely and utterly optional to add a secondary displacement modifier. You can just do duplicate, and it's just going to exaggerate what's already on the mesh. We're going to create a new texture here. We're going to create a new texture, and we're going to call it details, because clouds aren't perfectly bubbly. They've also got little bits of imperfection. So we're going to change this from Stussy to clouds. You can adjust the size. Before you adjust the size, however, you want to change the strength to 1, because you don't want it to be too aggressive. We might just set it to about here. We can also just adjust the size as well to however we like, maybe around here. Now, if you see little deformations in the geometry here, you can either adjust this using the mid-level, which adjusts how much of the mesh actually distorts, so it kind of adds more room for it to distort. So something like that usually works. There we go. So now we've got a cloud that is looking pretty decent. We can turn down the strength of this as well, like so. There we go. It's looking like a cloud. So from this point, we want to do Shift A or go up to here and do Add. I prefer Shift A. And we're going to do Add Volume and Empty. Yeah, as you can see, nothing has happened yet. From this point, you want to have the volume selected up here, because you can't actually really select it from the viewport. Do Add Modifier, and then do Mesh to Volume. And from here, you want to select the instance object, which is this cloud mesh here. You want to select that. We'll just change this to cloud, actually. Cloud mesh. You want to go up to here, where the collections are, and just turn that off so we can see the actual volume. Now, it's got the general shape, but that is only because the voxel amount is very low. But I like to have mine at about 500. And if you do that, it looks significantly better, significantly higher quality. Now it will, like, the frame rate will drop the closer you get, but if you zoom it out a bit, it shouldn't be too bad. So there we go, we've got some volume. You can change the density, so you can turn it down to absolute nothingness. If we do 0.1, it's slightly visible. If you just do 1, which we're going to use for this certain tutorial, we're just going to have the density set to 1 because it is a cloud. Depending on the gas or what volume you're trying to create, this will come in handy. So if you're creating, I don't know, steam, for example, you could set it to 0.5 or even 0.2, and it'll be slightly translucent but still present. From here, we're just going to select cycles as our render engine, because Eevee does it, it renders it, but it doesn't render it to actually calculate the volume itself. We're going to go into viewport shading, and we're just going to do scene lights and scene world. As you can see, it's just white. I've already added in the world options here a sky texture. We're just going to change this to this one, so we can just adjust accordingly. You know, we can change what time of day it is. It's simple. It's perfect for this tutorial. It's good. You can change the strength. There's a sun there. Speaking of sun, before you go looking at how your volume looks, you may want to add a source of light apart from the world. So we're going to add a sun here. I'm going to bring this up, and we're just going to increase this to 10. If we go to render this, you should be seeing something that resembles a cloud. Now, because it's actually molding the volume to the mesh, this isn't permanent. This isn't baked or anything into any simulations. So what you can actually do is, from here, you can disable the volume by turning it off and then turning on the cloud mesh, and you can adjust accordingly. So if you go into, say, edit mode, say we want to include an extra protrusion here, like so, have that Dr. Seuss style. There we go. Turn this off and turn on the volume. As you can see, the volume has updated to give it the Dr. Seuss look. And if we render it, there you go. Okay, so that is how you make a pretty convincing cloud using the mesh to volume modifier in Blender. So, thank you for watching. I hope I have been helpful, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.